So, I saw Morbius, everybody. I mean, do I even need to continue with the video at this point? Welcome to my Safe Gayven. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video and joining me for another review here on the BlackGayComicGeek channel. If this is your first time clicking on this video, thank you so much. Hey, how's it going? My name is Michael. I call myself the BlackGayComicGeek, and I always say the things that I love to talk about in my fantasy has blood, sex, gore, and magic, or any variation of the four. So I like to talk about superheroes. I like to talk about comic books. I like to talk about action movies. I like to talk about fantasy movies. I like to talk sci-fi. I like to talk video games. And I like to talk black representation and queer representation. So hopefully that's something that you enjoy. If you could do me a favor, if you're not already, if you could hit that subscribe button. And also, whether it's your first time or you are a regular here on the channel, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button, it'll really help with the YouTube algorithm and getting my video and channel out there. I just recently passed a wonderful milestone here on the channel and just passed over 5,000 subscribers, so let's continue to grow. So if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. According to YouTube, about 32% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. So what do you want me to do to get you to subscribe? What do I need to do? Do I need to dance? Like, hit the subscribe button, like, share, comment, follow, interact for the algorithm. That was terrible, but you see what I do for you guys? Also really quick, because I don't really be looking at my analytics like that, even though they say you should, but I'm not trying to get bogged down and depressed. But like 8% female subscribers, like, how do I get more women to subscribe to me? I didn't realize it was that low. It's mostly men, which, you know, Black Gay Comic Geek, I like some men, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, like, women, where you at? Hit the subscribe button, like, share, follow, comment, interact for the algorithm. But anyway, if you couldn't tell from the title of this video, we are here to talk about the latest Sony project coming out of the Sony Cinematic Universe of Spider-Man movies, or some name, ridiculously convoluted name that they came out with a couple of years ago. Now they're calling it the Sony Spider-Man universe, but it was like the Sony universe of Marvel Spider-Man characters or some crap like that. Anyway, instead of letting Spider-Man's rogues gallery exist within the Spider-Man universe with Marvel and the MCU, they're taking all of his villains and making movies. Venom, which, yeah, a Venom movie could work outside of Spider-Man, but he at least needs to start with Spider-Man. There's that movies I've already reviewed. Let There Be Carnage and everything like that. Now there's Morbius. There's an announcement that Kraven the Hunter is getting a movie. There's still rumors about a Black Cat and Silver Sable movie. There was rumors about an Aunt May movie. At this point, Sony just needs to give it up and just solely stick with the MCU and stop doing these outside movies and just work on building other franchises outside of Spider-Man, because clearly they're showing that without the help of the MCU, they don't know what they're doing. But anyway, let's talk about Morbius. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, obviously, because the movie just came out. But the synopsis for the Morbius movie reads: dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder and determined to save others from the same fate, Dr. Michael Morbius attempts a desperate gamble. While at first it seems to be a radical success, a darkness inside of him is soon unleashed. And, okay, let me say this. And obviously, I am wearing the robe. And if this is your first time clicking on one of my videos, and I believe it started with the movie Thunder Force starring Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer, where I first donned the robe. But basically, for those of you that don't know, usually anytime you see me wear this, that means the movie was absolute trash. It was dog water. It was dookie juice. And like, the robe just signifies that it was so bad that I'm like, I can't even bother to get fully dressed or what. I'm going to be comfortable talking about it because it's bad. And I will say, obviously, just for the sake of theatrics, like, I will say, okay, to be fair, Morbius wasn't Thunder Force level. It wasn't Dragon Ball Evolution. It wasn't The Last Airbender. But it also wasn't good either. And it's also kind of funny and sad at the same time when you think about it, because Jared Leto jumped the multiverses. He jumped the comic book universes where people hated his performance, myself included, as the Joker in the Suicide Squad movies. And then he goes over to Marvel And he also does a terrible movie with it. Now, also to be fair to Jared Leto, I didn't dislike his performance as Michael Morbius. I didn't dislike his acting in this movie. He was actually somewhat interesting to watch in this movie. So it wasn't him that was the problem, unlike his performance as the Joker. It was the movie in and of itself. It was the writing and the way they characterized these characters, and the script was just very weak in this movie. Now, really quick, let's talk about the things that did work. While I did not like a lot of the characterizations in this movie, and I'll get to that a little bit more, I will say Matt Smith's performance and what he was trying to bring to the table, like, you could definitely tell he had fun trying to make this role work, and he knew what type of movie he was in. And plus, Matt Smith, even though I've never seen his season of Doctor Who, I've never really seen most of Doctor Who. I started watching it a couple years ago when it was on Netflix, and just as I got to season 3, they took it from Netflix, and I was like, oh, come on. But you could tell he was trying to inject some level of enjoyment and characterization in this character. So I enjoyed what he tried to do with the character, but like I said, just the writing just wasn't strong enough to push him and his performance through. And I will say some of the art design for the CGI, for what they tried to do with the vampire effects, it was different. It was cool to see, and it made it a little bit more fun to watch the movie, at least visually. But then on the flip side of that, a lot of the CGI and action sequences, kind of like the very first Venom movie with Venom and, what was it, Riot? I can't remember, but a lot of it took place at night, so it was hard to see what was even going on, and a lot of it was disjumbled in terms of like the cinematography, so a lot of the style that they put into the CGI elements kind of got lost in the disorientation of it all, and the fact that it took place at night, which you couldn't really see. And obviously, you could probably be like, well, Michael, it's a vampire movie. Of course it takes place at night. No, the premise of Morbius, if you're not a fan of the comics, Morbius is known as the living vampire. And what makes Morbius different from any other, like the typical vampires that you think of, he's a science vampire. He got his powers by basically, for the lack of a better term, being bit, like how Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. He was injected with radioactive vampire bat blood. So he's a science vampire, not a supernatural vampire. So he's not undead like a supernatural vampire, and that's why he's called the living vampire. But despite all of that, he still has all the strengths and everything like that that a vampire has, but he doesn't have any of their weaknesses because he can go out during the day. Crosses and crucifixes and religious symbols don't bother him. They don't affect him. They don't burn him. Neither does holy water, etc., etc. And I'm trying to think of anything else, like any more positives, but like that's really all I could think of. And even those positives have like a, but on the other hand, and it's like, so it's not, I'm like, is it really a positive though? And like, this is what I meant by the script being weak. I feel like every single trope that you can think of with any single superhero movie or any supernatural sci-fi movie, they put it in this movie. This movie was incredibly predictable. Like, there were absolutely no surprises in this movie. There were no moments that made you go, oh snap, or oh beep. Every single moment was like, oh, saw that coming, oh, saw that coming. I bet you this is the route that they're gonna go. Oh, this is exactly the route they went. Like, literally, you could probably predict the movie just by watching the trailer. And the funny thing about it is the trailer didn't even show you a lot. It's just, you could just put 2 and 2 together and figure it out based on if you've just seen other movies like it. So in the movie, obviously I mentioned Michael Morbius has a red blood disorder, and so that's why he becomes a doctor, to try to figure out a way to cure his blood disorder. While growing up, he has a best friend that has the same type of blood disorder that he has. Well, Michael Morbius tests the blood disorder on himself and he becomes the vampire, the living vampire. Can you imagine or guess who his main villain is going to be and how the villain became his villain and why he became his villain? Like, you could predict this stuff a mile away. Like, it's just like, really? Like, you didn't try to at least do something interesting with, nope, okay, all right, okay. And then not only just that, but there's like one main female character in this, and she's the quintessential love interest. There's really nothing to her character other than to be the love interest. Like, I barely even remember her name because she was essentially a nothing character. And then what I feel like the worst thing about this movie, kind of how I feel like Venom Let There Be Carnage, the only reason that movie existed was for the post-credit scene. I feel like the only reason this movie existed was for the post-credit scene. And the post-credit scene made absolutely no sense. And it was terribly executed, and it didn't get me. At least the Venom post-credit scene was like, all right, I'm curious. This one, I was like, this is dumb. And there were two of them. And I was just like, really? 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 What? Yeah. Like I said, this movie wasn't as bad as Thunder Force, but I'm still calling it a flop. Like, I have no interest in seeing this movie again. I have maybe if it was a Netflix movie or something I could stream at home, the fact that, because I didn't get a screener for this movie, I had to I saw it on Thursday, I went to the theaters, I used my AMC A-list. If I didn't have to go to the theater, I mean, I would still probably give it a flop, but the fact that I had to leave my house for this, I'm like, yeah, this movie was garbage. They don't need to they might make another sequel, because apparently this movie made some money at the opening weekend box office, so hopefully it was just mostly out of curiosity, but like the reviews for this movie, I've noticed, like, I think it's at like a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. But I also know some people that really enjoyed this movie. Somebody I know, they were like, oh, Morbius was great. I don't know why people are so upset about it. I'm just like, that's why I say all movies and all art is subjective. What hits me a certain way might not hit you a certain way. So with that said, have you guys seen Morbius? You already know my opinion. What is your opinion about Morbius movie? Maybe you like the movie. Let me know your comments in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Also, if you can, once again, hit that thumbs up button and like this video to really help out with the channel. If it's one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.